Hello, hello. My name is Peter Deneke, and this is a presentation about dissociative identity disorder. Previously, it was known as split personality. Okay, so what is dissociative identity disorder? So it's also known as DID, and it's also used to be called a multiple personality disorder. This is a complex psychological condition caused by many things. This includes severe trauma during early childhood, usually extreme, repetitive physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. Okay, let's go to the agenda, what we're going to learn. Topic 1, the DSM criteria, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, all the disorders. The topic 2 is detachment, defense. 3 is personality or possession. Levels of dissociation, trance, and possession disorders. Treatment for DID. Okay, topic 1. So they say DID is a rare condition where you have 2 or more distinct personality states. The symptoms are often lifelong, but treatment can help you cope. So the more counseling a person gets, the less the identities or personalities would manifest in the person. So what does the DSM say? It provides the following criteria to diagnose a person with dissociative identity disorder. So as I said, 2 personalities or more. Some people actually have 17 personalities. So each one has its own relatively enduring pattern of perceiving, relating to, and thinking about the environment and self. So some people with this dissociative identity disorder, the identity could be an animal, a man or woman, a child, a ghost, a demon, or even an angel. Okay, so the second criteria is amnesia must occur. Defines as gaps in the recall of everyday events, important personal information, or traumatic events. So the next day they might not even remember what they did. They have a form of amnesia. A person must be distressed by the disorder or have trouble functioning in one or more major life areas because of the disorder. So sometimes they can't work, they can't study, their relationships are affected. The disturbance is not part of normal cultural or religious practices. So some people have altered states of consciousness where they manifest different spirits. The symptoms cannot be due to direct physiological effects of substance, such as blackouts or chaotic behavior during alcohol intoxication, or general medication conditions such as complex partial seizures. So obviously when people do take drugs, they act in a different way. People with that are alcoholics, they also might seem more aggressive, and their personality would seem as if they have changed or have a different personality. Okay, topic 2 is regarding detachment, and this is related to the brain. So the limbic system. So this is the limbic system, yeah. And when a person, so DID is described as a defense mechanism of a detachment which can snuff out emotional experiences when the right prefrontal cortex inhibits the activity in the limbic system. So this is the prefrontal cortex. So what happens when the information comes in, maybe a person sees trauma or something abusive or something that they can't handle, or they're experiencing some type of attack and it's just repetitive, the brain actually stops that memory, the prefrontal cortex, and it cuts off the memory. So the limbic system mediates the emotional experience of the event and is reliant on integrated sensory information. So the limbic system can actually cause the split in the mind because of the trauma. So the primary limbic system is to process and regulate emotion and memory while also dealing with sexual stimulation and learning, behavior, motivation, long-term memory, and our sense of smell also relate to the limbic system and its sphere of influence. Okay, topic 3, personality or possession. So people just say, is this, when a person has this personality disorder, is it possession, demonic possession, or is it just personality? When alter personalities, so a person develops an alter when they've experienced some type of trauma or alternative personality, and they asked about whom they believe they are, they say they are children, helping spirits, demons, another living person or a dead relative, and a person with the opposite sex. The two larger scale case series we have looked into this are F.W. Putnam, who described 100 cases, and C. Ross, who described 236 cases. Even though the majority of the alters claim not to belong to the individual, the prevailing option is that these are in fact parts of the individual. So the DM defines possession trance as a single or episodic alteration in the state of consciousness, characterized by the replacement of customary sense of personal identity by a new identity. This is attributed to the influence of a spirit, power, deity, or other person. Later in the definition, did, MPD is excluded. However, this is difficult. The definition is based on a belief attributing the state to a spirit, and this is very common in MPD, multiple personality disorder. So they say when a person is experiencing an alter, it feels like the alter is driving the car and the real personality is at the back of the car. So they feel like they can see the other personality, but the other personality is driving the car and they in the back seat. So they kind of feel out of control. Okay, topic 4, disassociation and trauma. So disassociation is the separation of a normally related mental processes, resulting in one group functioning independently from the rest, leading in extreme cases to disorders such as dissociative identity disorder. DID is defined as a disturbance in the normal integrative function of memory, identity, and self, and is the only mental disorder with 2 or more distinct personalities. They say disassociation is a God-given coping mechanism that all humans used to one degree or another in order to navigate discomfort and trauma. While disassociation can help us to survive trauma, it typically leads to fragmentation in cases of moderate to severe trauma. This is why dissociative issues will result from heavy trauma, especially when that trauma is experienced in early childhood, typically before the age of 7. Not all disassociation results in alternate personalities, but severe and repetitive trauma beginning in early childhood would cause the individual to disassociate into alternate personality states. The ability to disassociate this way can become problematic when it begins to impair normal and healthy functions necessary for life. Okay, so we can see that trauma causes this disassociation. So there are different levels of DID. So we all disassociate in some point of time. We might be watching a movie and you feel like you check out and you focus on something else, or your mind is wandering when somebody talks to you. So they say daydreaming or fantasy. The second stage is imaginary friends, when a child feels the pain of loneliness, so he disassociates by having an imaginary friend past the normal period when this should occur in childhood. The third state of DID is PTSD. So this is a type of disassociation, and we know about post-traumatic stress disorder. Then dissociative episode of amnesia. As pain starts to come into the surface and manifest, the person tries to run from it in various ways, such as an inability to recall important information, unexplained travel away from home, and identity confusion. They don't know who they are. Then we get to DPD, depersonalization disorder. This is when the person feels detached or outside the physical body and may have an out-of-body experience. One has a current feeling of being detached from one's body or mind. Then voice from within takes the opposite position of their own mind. This voice is often the voice of the value of the abuser, which often thinks in extremes. This is often black and white thinking. So this can also be somebody that's been abused by a narcissist. Then they'll hear the narcissist's voice over and over, the abusive parent, the critical judgmental parent. Then we have voice with identities and functions. Emotions, feelings, or thoughts go into the identity of another personality. The voice puts functions into another personality within in order to deal with the pain of the abuse. Then we have fragments with identities, fragments with functions, and then finally dissociative identity disorder. This is when two or more personalities develop. Okay, then we have CID, complex identity disorder, and highly complex identity disorder. So most of the time we might experience or deal with people that have DID. The extreme cases when there's been this occurs when there are over 200 alter personalities that are polyfragmented. This is almost always as a result of a high cult or satanic ritual abuse. This is also present in most cases of government-sponsored mind control. In this scenario, the individual will be highly structured, meaning the complexity of brokenness and the bondage will be excessive. So this slide, I got it from Bride Ministries. So I give credit where credit is due. Topic 5, trance and possession disorder. So there's actually a disorder in the DSM that's related to possession. So they don't say it is a demon, but it's a form of disassociation. But from a Christian point of view, there is demonic possession, oppression, and possession. Oppression and obsession. Okay, so what is a trance disorder? Was diagnosed in the DSM as a separate and distinct disorder. However, it is also known as a dissociative identity disorder. So different cultures have similarities in observing trance and possession states. Example, in Latin America, Southeast Asia, Pacific Islands, India, and Africa. When a shaman or witch doctor enters a dissociative state, an entity from another realm or spirit world takes over conscious awareness and influences the behavior, like in the picture above on the side. Common features of trances are amnesia, emotional disturbances, and loss of personal identity. These features bear resemblance to DID, but it's not DID, it's possession disorder. Okay, topic 6. Research trusted sources indicate many treatment models focus on 3 phases: stabilization and safety, keep the person safe and stabilized in their right mind, discussing, working through, and integrating traumatic memories. When a person comes for counseling, they're not always in a disassociated state. They might have, you might talk to the person, the real identity. And then working on relationship with yourself and the world. The authors note that the 3 phases of treatment are based on some common therapeutic modalities used, or the treatment of DID, which is trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, eye movement desensitization, and reprocessing, EMDR therapy. Also, from a Christian point of view, if a person comes to you with DID, dissociative identity disorder, you could be dealing with a demonic altar or demonic spirit attached to that identity. So you have to cast that spirit out that came in through trauma. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you would like to contact me, you can contact me on my website, on Facebook, on Psyche Numa, or you can email me at peterdenicky@hotmail.com. Thank you very much.